Welcome back to episode number 30 of the upcoming weekly preview. And yeah, let's get right into it. I know it's been all about the price action, but there were a few things that kind of took us to where we are now. And before talking about the week ahead and what we should plan with the charts, let's talk about the news real quick. The big news item came on Thursday with the CPI print. It was a very bullish CPI report. And not just because it came in at 6.5, but because with shelter came in, which is a big component of core, about 35%, came in kind of hot still. But we know that's a lagging indicator, and we know that shelter is going to be coming down in the months to come. So that just made it even more bullish. I talked in my video about the CPI report that I expected a bit of a dip if it came in at around 6.5 or 6.4. And that then that would be a nice opportunity to buy the dip. And that's exactly what happened. And the market kind of figured it out in time, took it a couple hours, and now we are where we are. Now, we did have two bad pieces of information as far as crypto goes. Coinbase laying off 20% of its employees. Basically, that's their way of stating, hey, we feel like this crypto winter might last a little longer. And crypto.com did the same. But, you know, this Vitalik tweet from December 29th really was kind of like the driver. I mean, it was kind of like the catalyst that started all this. And, you know, this tweet, when Solana was capitulating, it looked like Solana was for sure headed to like $4.50, which it still might get there, believe it or not. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying it's still, from a TA perspective, still very much in the cards of possibilities. This tweet really set things off. And then once Solana did what it did, it just seems like the market got so much more confident, and the traditional markets had a few solid weeks ever since the December 29th, and crypto did the same. And ever since this tweet, things have just been really bullish. And so this is something that was kind of like what started it. 4.8 million views on this tweet, and it kind of created all this craziness. So moving forward, what should we expect? Well, if we look at Bitcoin chart right now, one thing to know as a whole, as we look at it here in the 1 hour, and it's dumping right now, is the fact that this is exactly what I was going to talk about. Look, guys, BTC CME futures gap is at around 19,900, I think. So it's gonna go back to that at some point, whether it's late weekend. I'm guessing CME futures doesn't open on Monday because of the MLK holiday. I'm not sure. So, there could be a lot of craziness between then and there, but everyone should know in their back of the mind that gap will probably be filled at some point. And when the market does open, when the CME futures do open, yeah, that's what's going to happen. We're going to be back around that 19,900 mark. But just one thing that I did notice is no need to fret, no need to panic because of that. Just know that. And I think that's going to keep a lot of people from buying the rest of the weekend, because they know that. A lot of the smart money knows that. Do all gaps get filled? No. There's actually a gap that hasn't been filled at around 28,600, believe it or not. So do keep that in mind. So maybe fill this gap in because it's closer at 19.9 and then head towards that. That is a possibility. I don't know. But I did want to state that that's a huge possibility. So I think that's going to kind of hurt things in the meantime, as far as, Bitcoin, just because of the fact that we know this. And that might be why we're seeing this ugly candle that I guess just kicked off right before I started. We were doing pretty well. We were around 20,900. But this should not be a surprise if you at all follow the CME gaps and the CME futures. Almost all of them get filled. I mean, I think it's a very high hit rate. So if you're into probability and numbers, you obviously have to pay attention to that. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But what I did want to state is, as long as if we kind of form a bottom, good solid bottom, looking at it, it was around 19,400, just looking left. It's not going to be the worst thing. So about 19, I don't know where I put that chart. Oh, well, just believe me when I say that around 19,400, if we form a low higher than that, that will actually be very bullish. And guys, I mean, there's no telling how high BTC can go on this run, whatever you want to call it, echo bubble, bull run within a downtrend, whatever you want to call it. I mean, look at this candle. This candle is amazing, pretty freaking intense. You know, I can't remember the last time that we saw a candle on the weekly that's this impressive. But we have seen them. There have been a bit of, you know, it's not the first time during this downtrend that we've seen that, right? And we saw, you know, similar candle here, and then a follow through candle here. I mean, this must have been a hell of a trap for bulls. But at the end of the day, I mean, if we don't get to at least like, you know, if we get to even 25K, we're basically, and then BTC rolls over, we just formed a lower high. So if we then kind of go right here to the monthly, despite the fact that this candle looks so damn strong, so damn good, um, if you had to bet on it, it's unfortunately 13.8. It's still the most likely probability as of right now. Can the data change and give us different perspectives and outlooks in the, you know, in the next days or weeks to come? Sure, absolutely. I'm not saying that we're going to go back to 13.8. I'm just stating that if you're into probabilities, you got to give that probability the most weight. Unfortunately, that's just, it is what it is. Ethereum's obviously just going to follow BTC, but Ethereum has been incredibly strong, looking so overbought on the RSI. Yeah, so on the 4 hour, we're still at an overbought, barely, but overbought stage. So we'll see what happens with Ethereum. You know, it's just going to follow Bitcoin, and it's going to have more upside than Bitcoin, most likely. Is it possible that if BTC kind of keeps running around before it rolls over next, is it possible that we're going to see a scenario where BTC starts running without the alts? Yes. So keep that in mind. Just because BTC, let's just say, gets up to as high as 25K, does not mean that all the alts are going to run another 40-50% necessarily. It's completely possible that BTC will run without the alts. I'm actually surprised that it hasn't happened yet. So that's just something to keep in mind. I hope I'm not coming across as a Bitcoin maxi saying that. It's just, it is what it is. Sand is one that we've been keeping a big eye on for quite a while now, right? And look, guys, this is the thing with sand. February 14th or 15th is the big token unlock. But as long as BTC is running up, most likely it will run up with it. But if you see the sand to BTC chart, it's been in this channel for quite a while. It broke out of it for a minute, literally a minute, and that was it. And then it came right back to the channel, and it's been respecting this channel for a very long time. So keep a very keen eye on this. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. But you know, it's still a long time. We're still about exactly a month away from that token unlock. So the higher this goes, the better, I guess, the more money there can be made on the big short. But I mean, I plan to short this asset so strong once BTC starts showing some weakness. Maybe if it's, you know, rejects big in the next, you know, level of resistance, we'll see what happens. But you know, I don't know if you guys can tell, I am expecting for BTC to go higher after it fills that CME gap. I really am. But how high it can go is really hard to say. But a 25K actually looks like a lot of sense, especially from a kind of psychological perspective. Solana just still doing its thing. Amazing stuff, guys. I don't even know what to say here. There's no way that I could have, you know, the way that I interpret the TA, there's just no way I could have predicted Solana all the way up here to 25. There's just, so it's just silly for me. This is just silly craziness. You know, I'm not an Elliott waves kind of guy, but I follow people that I talk to people that do quite often. They were blown away by this. They were having a really hard time seeing Solana kind of over 15, and or I think at the highest like 18. I can't even remember. But so this has been just craziness, kind of like Gala. You know, to be completely transparent, I lost my ass trying to short Gala over and over. You know, a lot of my gains are just gone because of me trying to short Gala. So this asset has been crazy. I think it's gotten at 3x from where it really started pumping, a 3x. So guys, look, man, I'm not saying to get crazy with leverage, but even at just 10x leverage, if you get a 3x with Gala, right? So you put 1K into it, 10x leverage, and at 3x, you made $29,000 in like a week and a half. Just amazing. And guys, I've been doing all of my crypto leverage trading and shorting on Bitget. Right now, it's not the greatest environment to short. but that will change in time again. It just goes back and forth. So if you guys want to support the channel, check it out. I'm going to be doing with Bitget. We're going to do a giveaway of $100 to anyone that clicked on the link, or anyone that's already clicked on my link and is doing their trading on Bitget and has any kind of money in their trading account. We're going to do kind of like a spin the wheel kind of thing. So one of you guys are going to get $100 next week. So definitely keep that in mind. And yeah, I wanted to just kind of, talk about, because a few of you asked me why on Discord and why on Twitter, and just from conversations, I've been so vocal about Wi-Fi. Like, what is this? Yeah, I couldn't even, I don't even know what these guys do, guys. I really don't. I don't know anything about the tech with them. But, as I'm always kind of looking at charts and trying to figure out what's going on, I just saw on the daily, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, it was around right here. Yeah, not a couple weeks ago, I guess 11 days ago, when we noticed this right here, that it had formed another low, and and right here on the third, that's when it kind of got on my sights. It's actually an asset that I've been watching for a while, and it got on my sights, and I thought, okay, this sure is interesting. And yeah, so why did I like it so much? Well, if you just look left, every time that it forms a bottom at around these levels, it seems to run pretty quickly and pretty nicely. So I just felt that it was a good spot right here. If it drops below right here, I think I had said, yeah, 50 was kind of like the moment that's kind of where I was going to have my stop loss, and I got in at around 53 and change. And I thought, okay, well, if we lose like 6% on this, it's not that bad, because it has so much high side, upside. And I had stated that about 74 to 7,500 would be kind of like the take profit spot for me. And it surpassed it. I already had my take profits set up. I think it was like around 74.50. And sure enough, we got there. And that was just as an educational kind of thing. Whenever you start seeing these kinds of assets that run really, really fast, right? It's just straight down, straight up, straight down, straight up. You start seeing them form a bottom, and you can kind of look left to kind of decipher what is a good kind of spot where you might be able to see that it's an inflection point. And and there's just so much history as far as when it does form bottoms after it has done huge retraces, right? As we can see here on the daily. This is not a 1 hour, this is on the daily. You have your spot right here, you had another one right here, but this one was even better because it had already done it once and I was doing it twice. So yeah, just a wonderful spot here with an asset that I don't even know what they do. If it's a scam or not, I have no idea. I don't really care. So that's about it for now, guys. I just kind of wanted to cover that. And as far as, what's going to happen next week, let's just, as we see Bitcoin still dumping, don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if we get back down to kind of like that 19.9. We got to fill that gap. Most likely, we got to fill that gap. And then as long as the next bottom that is formed is over around 19,400-ish, I think we're going to be quite all right. And then let's see how far this thing could go. And it's going to be really, really interesting. So, there's going to be all these psychological barriers, right? We're going to have, I guess this was what, 21.5 exactly? No, it wasn't. Wow, I'm surprised. Almost 21,477. So it was almost 21.5. Probably have something like that, 22 and 22.5. But I just think that 25K makes a lot of sense from a psychological perspective. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. One last thing I wanted to add, with the traditional markets, we're starting to get into earnings season. So that's going to be very interesting. So if earnings season doesn't go well, then yeah, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. We may be back in this crazy little, not so exciting wedge, right? So, or I guess you can call it a wedge, descending wedge. That is, I guess, another thing I'm thinking out loud now, but it broke out of it in a big way. Guys, my thesis was, and those of you that watch me weekly and part of my community, talk to me all the time, our community, you know that I fully expected Bitcoin to stay within below this trend line. I expected it to be heavy resistance once again, and for it to just kind of bounce back and forth, right, until it hit 13.8, right, around the end of Q1. Well, now my thesis kind of got blown away as far as that piece of it, because of the fact that it just blew out of it, just completely blew out of it, right? And isn't it funny how it went straight down, so it went straight up? But does that mean that we'll go straight down again? Well, no, because now there's a little bit more structure to it, but not a whole lot. So let's just wait and see. So I'm going to keep this in because if Bitcoin is to test this trend line again, as now as resistance, I want to see what that looks like, because that could be something very interesting to see if it could hit it and then completely bounce off it. Or who knows, maybe we'll never see it again. I doubt it, but who knows, maybe we'll never see that trend line again as resistance. So we'll see what happens. Keep an eye out on all these alts, guys. Be really careful. Keep your stop losses really, really tight because things can turn around in a blink of an eye. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Trade safe.